Right. So, um, today we are talking about the follow-up advantage and why follow-up is so incredibly key in this business. So, I wanted to open today with some thoughts from the weekend. Some days the work just feels heavier than usual. Not because it's complicated, but because it's intimidating. You wake up tired, you know exactly what needs to be done, and still part of you wants to push it to tomorrow. That's how it feels for a lot of people. You know what matters though, and you know it works. You also know follow up is easy to skip, especially when you don't feel on. But here's what some people don't realize: follow up isn't about intensity, it's about showing up when you don't feel like it. Just like a hard day of training. You don't feel ready, you don't feel fast, you don't feel strong, but you do the work anyway. And when you look back, you realize you did more than you did last time. And that's the advantage. It's not talent, it's not timing, it's not motivation, it's consistency. Today isn't about doing everything, it's about doing one more follow up than you did last week. One more touch, one more check in, one more moment of staying in the game. Because momentum in this business, just like training, isn't built on the days you feel great. It's built on the days you show up, whether you're tired or not, and do the work anyway. So, that being said, how was your weekend?
I had a really good weekend, thank you. I did an open house on Maya's new
Hmm.
listing that just went live on Friday,
Okay.
and it was a success to me. And both the people, I had two people come in for her open house, and
Hmm.
both potential buyers that came in, they were both unrepresented. So that's two potential new clients I have.
Awesome. Awesome. So, since we're talking about follow up, how, good morning, Fatih. How are you planning on following up um, with these clients or potential clients?
So, okay, hold on, sorry. Let me make sure that I could. There we go. So I follow up. Well, first, my first touch point is I make sure I get their emails and phone numbers. So I
Hmm.
first thank them for attending my open house so they have access to my email. And
Okay.
then my next touch point is since I saw them on Sunday, on Tuesday, I'm going to follow up with them and say, hey, just want to see if you received my email, and then just kind of go from there of what we talked about, what they're interested in, because I made
Hmm.
sure I wrote down notes specifically to them and see if I can assist them. And they were both interested in me representing them as their agent. So I
Hmm.
definitely want to by Tuesday get in touch with both of them and see if we could go ahead and get started, like as a buyer's appointment,
Okay.
and then just move forward from there. Um, I do have a couple other people that have been in my pipeline that do need following up.
Hmm.
It's just that I haven't done it. That's the only thing.
Okay. Why not?
I find some excuse not to do it right then and there. I find something else to do
You
within the
find an
time that
ex
I can do it.
All right. You find an excuse. And I think that's something that a lot of people deal with. Fati, do you find yourself making excuses for following up? Hello, Miss Fati? We
Can you
can't
hear
hear
me?
you. Oh, yep, can hear you now. There we go. So do you
Oh,
ever
okay.
find, yeah, so Crystal was just saying, she makes excuses for not following up. Find something else to do. Do you find yourself making an excuse to not follow up?
Um, I wouldn't necessarily say making excuses. I just need to get better with time blocking because
Okay.
like I'm doing all these other things, right? And then when I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
all these other things, I end up forgetting to do that thing. So I just need to get better with, okay, at this specific time, I'm going to be doing this no matter what's going on.
There we go. So perfect. So, the number one thing, right? You said, Crystal, you make an excuse. Fati, like you let something else get in the way, right? You're not as good with time blocking. How do we make money in this business?
We
Feel free
make
to jump
money in
in.
this business by creating relationships,
Mm-hmm.
listening, communicating, and
Mm-hmm.
following through with, making sure that you protect and follow with your clients' needs and wants as their
Okay.
consultant.
Now, but when do you finally get paid in this business?
When you find a ready, willing, and able transaction, I guess that fits the profile of the buyer or
That was
or
still, you go a
seller.
little further down. You can find ready, willing, and able, but further down, when do you get paid?
Shoot, when we close.
There we go. All right. So perfect. So it's easy to follow up when you're in the transaction. You've got the ready, willing, and able buyer. They're out searching for homes. You write the contract, and you don't want to let the follow up slip through the cracks at that point, right? You're not going to let it slip
Right.
through there. And it's easy to let it slip through the cracks when it's not as pressing, right? So, and like you said, though, now back it up. What was the first thing you said about when we get paid?
I think the
What
first
do you
thing I
have?
said was
What do you have to
um
create?
of relationships,
Mm-hmm. And how do we create relationships?
staying in touch, communicating,
Mm-hmm. By following up. We create the
following up.
relationships through the follow up by doing what you say you're going to do, whether or not they respond when you do the follow ups, right? Once they say you can stay in touch until they say go away. Don't talk to me anymore, right? Like, and that's what a lot of
Mhm.
people, some people have trouble there. They're like, well, they're not responding. They don't want to talk to me. No, life gets in the way. It's like when you go to the store. I mean, we use this example all the time. When you go to a store and someone says, "Can I help you?" and you say no, and I think Fatih right away, maybe you'll be like, "Yes, you can help me. This is what I'm looking for." But a lot of it, is that true, Fatih? Did I get that one right for you? Okay, I'll keep going. But like I will when I go in the store, I will say, no, I don't want to be helped because I want to do this on my own. And then eventually I'll walk around after walking around for 10 minutes, can't find what I want. I'll I'll ask for help, right? But at the same time, life, especially when it comes to buying or selling homes, there's so many other things that are pressing, right? That's such a big thing for people to focus on. So you have to make it a priority. Like follow up was number one way I built my business. And I had so many people in my business, like in my pipeline, that are like, Tony, we have a relationship. You're my guy. Like actually, in fact, um, just last week I was talking to a gentleman who I've been talking to for years now, and he said, he's told me numerous times, I've never met him. When we sell, you're my guy. Um, and then we were just talking. I was telling him about the ATL tour. It turns out he owns a restaurant. It's a good looking restaurant. It looks like it's got some great food from the website. And so we're probably going to go cover that restaurant now. So again, that's additionally just helping me build my business through creating relationships, and it just is an unintentional bonus of having stayed in touch and following up. So you've got to make sure that you have solid follow-up systems in place, and then you're following those solid follow-up systems. And the smaller your business, when you start these follow-up systems, the easier it is. Like I would not be able to follow up like I do if I didn't put the systems in place already, right? Like with 2,000 people, it would not be possible for me to do the follow-ups. So where, in your business, where do you think your leads are falling through the cracks?
100% is the follow up. I mean, a lot of people say that they're interested, and just because we didn't, well, first off, it's not even just follow up, it's putting a date to the follow up because I feel like if I set an appointment with you and put it on my calendar, it will
Mm-hmm.
be done. But if I say, oh, yeah, I'm going to follow up with you later, it's not something set. So then I'll find an
Mm-hmm.
excuse not to do it. Like I'll try to occupy myself with something else during that day where I know like in my spirit, I should have followed up. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
like, set a day, set the appointment right then and there. Like, don't walk away from that person without setting that calendar to the day where you know you're going to follow up. as well. I think that's like the key to following up is like ensuring you put that date there
Mhm.
for
That's
sure.
that absolutely. That's one of the keys of sales is put the date on the
Yeah.
calendar. And
Mm-hmm.
the big thing you need to do too is when you follow up with that person, you know, hey, Crystal, we were talking 2 weeks ago and you said you asked me to follow up on, March 2nd. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you said that Monday would be a great day sometime in the morning. So I'm checking in for our conversation. If now's not a good time, I can check in later, or is now an okay time? You don't have to maybe stick with the positive. Is now a good time to connect, like we discussed? If they say no, great, then when is a good time? Or if they don't pick up, right, you're leaving the voicemail, just make sure, again, remind them this is per our conversation. I'm doing what we said, what I said I was going to do. And it's all, and I always, again, try to remind them it's about their timeline. Uh, Tati, are you on the call?
Yes, I'm here. I really
Okay.
like that idea. Sorry.
No. I was going to go ahead. You go ahead. I was going to ask you a question. So yeah. But you were saying you like the idea?
Yeah, I really like the idea of when you're on the phone with them and you're doing your follow-up to set like if you're doing like the quarterly follow-ups or depending on how often you want to do your follow-ups, just saying, hey, at this time on this day, is it okay if I just follow up with you to check in to see if there are any changes? Because that also gives them something for like to look forward to. And it just kind of keeps a mental note and they're probably more likely to answer or just tell you no, that time doesn't work. So then you're like, oh, okay, then I'll try it this day. So that
Mm-hmm.
increases the rate of success with the call and reaching them. So I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
And yeah, and like Crystal, so you put it on the calendar, right? And that's what the whole point of like the quarterly calls are, right? Because ultimately, like, you're creating your funnel. And what percentage of people are thinking about making a change right now? Anybody?
You said
good
what
number.
percentage?
What percentage of people are thinking about buying or selling a home right now? Tati, what did
80.
you say? 80? No, 80 are thinking about that. If 80, let's go. I would be so busy right now. It would be crazy, all right? I wouldn't be on this call. I would have a team of like 100 people. No, but 2%, 2% of people are thinking about buying or selling a home, right? or going to do a deal. Now, what percentage, like probably maybe double that are thinking about it, the number of people that actually do. So now, if you think about 2% of people will buy or sell a home in your database, that means, all right, 98% of the people that you're talking to are just going to be your standard follow up. So, but so that's why the quarterly call is so important in the relationship building because you're just checking in and you're doing what you said you were going to do, saying, hey, I'm here to be a long term resource for you. That's what we talk about. And if you're truly there to be a long term resource, you're calling and you're leaving that message saying, hey, I'm checking in. I'm here to help. If you need help, let me know. If you don't need help, don't worry about calling me back, right? Because then it makes them feel okay. You don't want them to feel guilty for not calling you back, right? Um, and at the same time, again, like there's so many people I haven't talked to for a year or 2 years. When they finally pick up the phone, Tony, I've been getting your messages. I appreciate the fact that you've been reaching out. And they'll sometimes say, I'm sorry I didn't call you back. And I always make sure, do not feel guilty about not calling me back. That's not your job. I'm just checking in with you, right? And I always want to remind them of that. So okay, so just letting it slip through the cracks, right? Like not making the follow up. So, what follow up system will each of you commit to getting better about follow ups?
One thing I will have to say is learning myself and being real with myself. You know how we talked about calendar, right? I know
Mm-hmm.
that Tony, you taught me about the command touch point, but honestly, I don't know why mentally, like I just aesthetically can't go into command and keep following up with that system. But I can follow up that system if it's on my calendar where I just unlock my phone and tap my calendar and I
Mm-hmm.
see it there. I would rather my touch points like that you set up your command be more synced to my calendar so that I can modify and make notes and stuff with each individual person through my calendar. So maybe I could do the same thing that you set up that command feature for. I forgot the name of it. 321 or 323 or I
Well,
can't remember.
the 135 is different than your
135.
that's different than your follow-up system. Now, what happens though, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
playing the devil's advocate here,
Mm-hmm.
when you have 500 people in your database and
Mm-hmm.
you're having to do a quarterly follow-up with them. Now, let's call it 600 just to make the math easy. That's 200 people per month that you're touching, calling, which would break down to about 50 per week. Right? 50 per week, 200 per month. So, I mean, I guess that's 10, that'd be 10 calendar notices a day. But then on top of that, other appointments that you plug in, you think that would get a little overwhelming in your calendar on your phone? Crystal?
Sorry, I put you on mute because where I'm at. But okay, so can you repeat the last thing you said? So if I put it
Yeah.
on my calendar,
I said if you put it in your phone, let's say you have 600 people in your database, and
yeah,
it and that would essentially be 50 people per week that you have to follow up with, 10 per day, on top of
yeah.
all your other appointments on your calendar. Do you think that would make your calendar look a little overwhelming and too cluttered?
I would prefer it that way, to be honest, because I look at my calendar on a regular basis, like somebody on, I don't know, like I habitually keep checking my calendar. So like if
Mm-hmm.
it's not on my calendar, I would find something to bypass. Like right now on my calendar, it just says follow up block time, right? But I will find something else to do during that time versus actually doing my follow up. So if I put somebody's specific name, say like appointment with Fati from 9 to 9:30, appointment with Tony from 9:30 to 10, then I will
Mm-hmm.
make that appointment because I put your specific name and like our conversation. But I get what you're saying. I just wouldn't flood my whole calendar with each and every individual person. I will
Mm-hmm.
only put them on my calendar if I sent them an original text message and I actually heard
Mm-hmm.
their voice. I would nurture it that way. I
Okay.
guess in a sense, like I know like we're supposed to like, touch everyone throughout your phone, your database, but I'm me personally, I'm a little bit more personal. Like if I know we had a conversation within the past month, then I want to keep nurturing it for at least a good solid month to see like where you stand, like what can I do to move forward, like how can we move forward in the future. And then I
Mm-hmm.
could like put a timestamp, let's say, oh, give me 6 months. I'll time stamp them and say, okay, 6 months, that's in October or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna put October 3rd, I'll follow up with you on this day, and then I'll timestamp it that way. I don't know if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense, but I
Yeah,
get what you're
no.
saying.
But on top of that, too, are you taking notes on all of these calls are you able to do that through that calendar setup as well? Because it's
Yes.
so incredibly important to make sure you're taking notes on every single conversation you have.
Yes.
Um,
When you make, even on Google or versus like the Apple Calendar, at the very bottom when you create the event, it says
mhm,
notes at the bottom. So you can keep adding on to the notes
mhm,
from that original appointment so that you'll have like a stack of notes easily accessible on my phone. So while I'm sitting there using my phone, I don't have to find a piece of paper and pen because I am a very quick paper and pen kind of girl. But
mhm,
because it's already noted in my phone, I won't have to find the notebook that I wrote the information down in or like open up my laptop. Like it's like already there within the appointment that I created or started with them for a while, if that makes sense. Like you could keep
mhm,
moving that same appointment over and over versus just keeping it and then adding a new one, if that makes sense.
mhm. Yep.
So
I know it
yeah.
does. It does. Okay. Well, you got to do what works for you. So Fati, is
Yeah.
there a system that you can commit to for following up to get better about, like when you said time blocking for it? Like, how can you get better about your time blocking so you're committing to your systems?
Um, Reviewing my schedule because my schedule has been changing.
Hmm.
So now that my schedule is kind of being a little bit more steady now. Um, so just going and picking a day and prospecting school is coming back. So that's really, really helpful. Because
Hmm.
I would dedicate Thursdays to follow-ups and lead genning and all that.
Okay.
So bringing back the Thursday follow-ups and sticking to that and lead genning and prospecting school. I do want to add one more day, but I'm thinking because now that I get up at like 5:30 in the morning, and you can also schedule text messages, schedule emails and stuff like that. It would be easier for me to make sure that I focus on that at like that 5:30 time frame, because then I can
Yeah.
schedule out and then do calls like on Thursday or something.
Yeah. The scheduling text message is amazing. I love it. It's like, it's just amazing. I know it's an incredibly helpful tool. No, and so I think that's a great idea. Like, there you go. Like, knowing, okay, Thursdays is one of my big lead gen days, right? Like, it's one of the days I'm doing all these follow-ups. That's going to be hugely helpful. And like you said, reviewing your schedule. Obviously we are in a business that our schedules are constantly in flux, right? Like, appointments cancel on us. Oh, something came up for them. They need to move. But we need to be obviously really good about staying on point for, I always tell people, listen, I understand if your schedule changes. And if something comes up, let me know. However, I've got you on the books for Tuesday at 12 noon. I will be there at 12 noon on Tuesday. And I usually send, out. But that being said, but no, yeah, reviewing your schedule. One of the things, I think, a lot of very successful agents will do is they review their schedule the night before, right? They take Sundays to plan out their week, and then they have the week planned. And then from there, every day, end of the day, all right, look at that. What do we got tomorrow? All right, so I know tomorrow. So that way you're waking up, you already know what you're supposed to do for the following day. And then, all right, how often, outside of the follow-ups, once things become urgent and pressing, right? And how often though will you plan on touching your database?
I guess it would be cycling out. So within the days that I'm reserving the like the conversations and stuff, it would probably be cycling out within the time block for that day to probably do, I don't know, like me, I'm just throwing out numbers right now, but I'll have to sit down and really be thorough with it. But maybe hours for like the quarterlies, and then 2 hours for the people that I'm in communications with more frequently, and then 2 hours as a buffer time frame for new leads or something like that. But Crystal, I know you said you like to work on your phone and just like in the moment, just go ahead and take down the notes and everything so your calendar makes it a whole lot easier. But do you have the command app on your phone? Because they have that on there too, so that you can take notes on that system and then just keep the people's names on your phone so that it's less like cluttered. But if that works for you, then that works. But just thinking about the scalability, I feel like that might make it challenging to
Okay.
create a separate calendar.
Because I see what you're saying, because Command already synchronizes my contact list. And then I can individually add notes to each person that is already on my Command. I mean, maybe I just need to just get myself a habit of going into Command. I just haven't built that habit yet of like using the Command on my phone.
And I think that's what you talk about, the habit of it. Because one of the things that got when I started, I was listening to Tom Ferry when I first started in real estate. And one of the things Tom Ferry said was you need to live inside your CRM when you're in real estate, sales in general, right? You need, and it's a habit every single day. I'm opening up my CRM and I'm looking at my task list, right? And now I know, like, right, I say, boom, open, okay, I've got 30, how many ever tasks I have for the day. Great, it makes it very easy for, that's what works for me. And like I think Fatih said is, the scalability, that's incredibly important for for that's incredibly important for making it, for your business and for long term. And on top of that, those, it's a lot easier to accidentally delete a calendar event or, and lose those notes versus having it in your CRM. Once it's in the CRM, I mean, yes, those are susceptible to obviously cyber attacks, all that sort of thing. But having it in your CRM is definitely for scalability, I think, a great suggestion. Yeah, and so just one of the things that we're going to talk about how often you touch your database, right? For me, I do my quarterly follow-ups, right? And then I wanted the quarterly follow-up. It's up to a 3-time call, up to 3 calls in that, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And then I've gotten much better about including doing my weekly email as well, which is a custom weekly email that goes out every single week. Whether people open or not, I don't care. They're just seeing that Tony is constantly in business and constantly doing the work and talking about real estate. So do what works for you, but be consistent about it. So either any final thoughts on follow-up from either one of you today?
Thank y'all so much for the opinions and the comments. And, you guys talked about scalability, convenience for myself. No, I really appreciate y'all.
Rati, do you have anything?
Yeah, no, I definitely appreciated this. And just having that open forum discussion about it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, here's the thing. Here's what I want you to remember when this call ends. Leads don't fall through the cracks because you aren't good enough. They fall through the cracks because consistency breaks down quietly. One missed follow-up, one delayed check-in. I'll do it tomorrow. That turns into weeks. And then you wonder why momentum feels hard to rebuild. The follow-up advantage isn't about working harder. It's about staying connected longer than everyone else. So ask yourself honestly, where are your leads drifting because they haven't heard from you? What simple follow-up system could remove guesswork and resistance? And how often will you commit to touching your database, even on tired days? You don't need perfect energy. You don't need perfect words. You just need to keep showing up because every follow-up is a rep. Every touch compounds. Every week you do a little more than the last. You move closer to the goals you have said mattered. Do the work today, not because you feel like it, but because the future you is counting on you. And that's why follow-up matters. That's all I got.
Boom, 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 boom. Pew, 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 pew.
All right.
Bye, y'all. Have a great day.
Wait, Crystal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Before you leave, are there things that you're doing right now